Hey, hello and welcome. Come on in and welcome to She TV. We just had a little problem getting started with the stream today, so want to just say hi. Welcome to day number 13 of the FEM-ATHON, as it is. And so I welcome you to come on in. We are live, and just if you are new here, I just want to pass a few things to you. I just had a little issue there, just give me a second. Okay, so if you're new here today, if you're catching the live stream, you've actually jumped on into a 15 days of videos, live streams, and a masterclass that I'm not conducting all here via YouTube, not the masterclass, but everything else. And during the FEM-ATHON, I'm basically discussing the many myths, mistakes, and misconceptions that I've seen so many women come to me about around the topic of feminine power and energy. So please come on in, say hi if you are there. I'm just trying to catch via another medium if you're there. And then I can also be answering your questions, which is what I want to be doing here today. So, okay. Can't see that there, so I'm just going to continue here today. So beautiful. I am here for you today, and what I'm wanting... Oh, hello. Wonderful. I'm seeing people and you can hear me. Lulu, Rochelle, Paulina, Smoldering Ash. Ash, I take it. Fantastic. Welcome. And I hope everything is streaming well on your end. And we're going to dive on in a minute about pleasure, a fundamental topic. Okay, so let me continue as I'm juggling a few things here today. So basically, we've been talking about and answering the question, how the heck did we get here as women? And what do we need to do to fully embrace our feminine selves again? You're also being invited into a unique masterclass that I'm going to be rerunning again next Monday, 3 different times. So I'll put the link is in the description. I'll put the link above also, and I'll put it hopefully in the chat box too. But just let's continue with the teaching part here today. So please get yourself enrolled. Partly I want you to get enrolled early is because I'm also going to be sending you daily email snippets with additional emails with additional videos of additional information to help you to understand some of those myths, mistakes, and misconceptions, okay? So click on that now, reserve your seat, get yourself there, and you're going to get this additional information and encouragement from me, okay? So beautiful. Who else do we have here? Who have I got here? Okay. It's telling me that we're still going. Haiwa, hello. I don't know what's happening here, but I'm just going to continue. And if it doesn't, I'll upload the video later. I do apologize. So I hope you can see me. So let's dive on in, my dears. So wonderful. We're talking about pleasure today, okay? Why pleasure is so important for women. And as it happens, pleasure is one of the 5 core feminine arts. Now, you may have heard me refer to them. These arts are arts and skills that we need to learn, or in fact, relearn as women, in order to embrace, understand, and most importantly, which we're going to talk about today, is embody pleasure, okay? We need to embody the arts. So today we're talking about how to feel into pleasure, know what that feels like, how to embody it, okay? So it's really about embodying the feminine arts, and pleasure is one of them. Okay, sorry, I got a bit rattled today with the streaming issues. So let's start by what you're possibly doing now that isn't working. And I'm going to grab some tea whilst we're still onboarding you here. This is an organic, very light green tea today. As you know, I'm always streaming tea when I'm streaming to you. So beautiful. So the thing is with pleasure is that what we don't realize most of the time is that we've become so accustomed to being out of it that I'm probably going to say some things that might be blatantly obvious to some of you and big ahas to others. So don't take any offense if I'm saying things that you do or don't relate to, okay? So the reason why this isn't happening for you is for things that I'm probably repeating again and again, right? So they say that teaching is the art of repetition, so is learning. So what's probably happening is you're largely in a doing, do, go orientation most of the time. Pushing, striving, filling in every single gap in your day, not having any out breath, we call it, out time when you are just being with yourself, with your energy, okay? You probably find yourself head dominant. Now what that means is that you're operating from the neck up, which is how the world operates at the moment. It operates from the head, it operates from what is more masculine in orientation. I'm definitely not male bashing when I say those things. I just mean that that's the way the world is set up, okay? And so as women, smart, savvy, successful women, we entered into that world in the 50s and 60s, and we proved that we could be like that, we could operate like that. We're just as smart, we're just as capable, and as or more successful than any man, or in fact, you know, through these paradigms of operation, this operating system, I call it, this masculine operating system, we've proved that we can do that. Hooray, right? And so, so that's a doing dominant way of operating in your life. It's an action dominant way of doing life, okay? And all of these things are masculine dominant, okay? And so it's a bit like we've been going through life, like we've been doing, you know, if you're doing arm curls at the gym, right? And I've just been doing, you know, curls with one arm all my life. It's all I've done and it's all I've known. And I kind of forgot that I even had this other arm, right? And so my job for you in all of these videos I provide for you here on YouTube is to just go, hey, look at this other arm here. You know, in this metaphor, it's the feminine arm, right? And so, and when you do get your attention to it, what I often get as a response is, oh, but that's really weak. Well, it has become weak because you haven't been using it. But it's not weak, you just don't know about it, you've forgotten about it, you've lost faith in what that is, right? And so as we turn toward this other arm, the way we're going to strengthen it and the way we're going to bring it back for you is not the same way that we built the masculine arm by doing arm curls. It's going to be a different type of strength. It's going to be a different feeling inside you. Now pay attention to that word I just said, feeling, okay? Really important, okay? So we're talking about pleasure today and why it's so important for women, okay? Now, if you don't even realize that you're not feeling pleasure or you're ignoring stress and anti-pleasure signals in your body, in your system, in your energy, because that again is what the world's taught us to do, then you're going to have to start to pay attention to them again. So, how do you do that? All right, good question. And let me just do a quick check on you to see if we're streaming at all. We seem to be streaming again. Fantastic. Venus, fantastic. Fazila, wonderful. The Art of Becoming More. Xavier, Xavier, get your email. Yes, you'll have to sign up on my website. I'll put a link below for that. Fantastic, women. Wonderful for you to be here. Okay, good. So, how then do you move toward pleasure? Okay, so pleasure as it happens is the very last module I teach about, because you need to learn the other arts first. You need to understand polarity, masculine and feminine polarity, because there's so much confusion about that. Okay, you need to understand and do something toward your power source. Okay, power is the second module, the art of power. Now you do that by starting to develop a relationship with your vagina, your pussy, okay? And you do that through, the way I teach you is through doing jade egg practices, okay? And then we talk about the art of desire, because desire, until you know how to feel into your desire, beyond the surface level desires, beyond the conditioned desires, and when you really feel down into them and you start to know and discover you as a desire creature, because women are desire creatures, and then you start to acknowledge those desires, many of which that have been hidden and buried and unconscious, right? And they start to come out of you, not just as thoughts, because they come up and they come out as, oh wow, that's what I want. But the thing is, it's always been there. It's always been in there, which is maybe why you've been sick, by the way, or in pain, or not getting what you want. That's another topic. Yeah. And then what you realize is, through the discovery of desire, you're starting to feel things inside you that start to upsurge inside your body, in your energy, that you may not have expressed before or felt before. Okay. And then we talk about the art of receptivity, okay, which is really essential, because you see, once you know what you desire, you need to learn how to speak it into the world. You need to learn how to be able to ask for what you desire. But that's not enough, is it? Because it's not enough to ask for it. Then you need to be able to have a receptive orientation to what you want, right? So this is all a preamble to, well, then we get to pleasure, okay? So you see, pleasure in some ways is the culmination and the thing that runs through the embodiment of your feminine power, right? Now, pleasure is a thing that is felt by the body via your energy, yeah? So, you know, I don't like talking about Tantra because it's been really maligned in America and the West a lot. But Tantric meditation is an energetic practice, so is Kundalini, for example. They're an energetic style of meditation, and that's also the style of meditation my school teaches, yeah? And what that means is it wakes things up inside you. Things like, the thing about Kundalini, they speak about the sleeping coiled snake at the base of the spine. It's very evocative, right? It's not literally a sleeping snake, but energetically it means that something is there that is powerful and is coiled, but can stand up and move up in your energy, in short, okay? So that's a way to describe pleasure. Pleasure is something that is felt through the way we are in relationship to our own body, yeah? And this has to do with not just an intellectual loving of the way we look in a mirror or something, but it's like, oh, my breasts, oh, they feel nice, they're mine, you know? And then having a sensual relationship to yourself that is positive, like a positive relationship to your body. But it's not even so much the body, it's definitely not the look of the body, it's the feeling of your consciousness being in your body. And we're talking about feminine here, we're talking about feminine consciousness, we're talking about feeling juicy inside, just for you and yourself, not in order to do something else. And so essentially what I'm saying here is, it's about you being in a pleasureful relationship to yourself, a satisfied relationship, a happy relationship. And this is what I call, in that module in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive Training, it's what I call the queen. So the queen therefore becomes the queen of her domain. And what's her first and foremost and primary domain? It's her body and her energy. And so until we're in an empowered relationship to those things, we can't be a queen. If you're disempowered, if you don't like the way you look, if you don't like the way you feel when you move in your body or you move your body, if you don't enjoy sex, if your libido's cut off or dropped, all of those things are signals to me that you're out of relationship to your powerfully juicy feminine self. Yep. And so just have a little bit of self-reflection now as I'm passing some of these things to you. Do you feel good in your body? And that can be with clothes on or clothes off, right? And it's important to feel good either way, right? Do you enjoy your sexual energy? Do you enjoy sex? Do you like engaging sexually with someone, right? So once you are in a positive relationship, a good, a loving, caring relationship to yourself, your body and your energy, then a lot of those things start to turn around. So if no was an answer to any of those questions, then there is a way to learn how to be back in pleasure, okay? And start to listen to our body and the signals from our pussy, what we call pussy brain in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive, right? Because there's knowledge, there's wisdom there. It's actually been researched that there's a whole lot of signals, even on a neurotransmitter level, and I'm not really talking about that, but even on a neurotransmitter level, there's a lot of information that comes from our lower centers. And as I say all the time, feminine power is about what's happening from the neck down, okay? And I laugh at that because I repeat it again and again, but I get so many questions when somebody's just in their head. It's like, stop, get out of your head. And just for God's sake, let's do it right now together, okay? Just whatever's comfortable for you. You can put your hands over your heart, okay? Another important feeling-based center for a queen. Or let's put it down, cupping over your pussy or over your lower belly. Let's just do that together now. And just in this very simple act of feeling ourselves by touching that part of our body and energy right now. Really simple, okay? Isn't it simple? And it's also a way to, it's more than self-soothing, but it's a way to, at times, self-soothe. And then just the warmth of our hands and the, power of our hands. There's a lot of spiritual power in hands. We actually start to reflect that part of our energy back to ourselves. And as I really say again and again with my women, you cannot be a queen until you're seated into your throne. And your throne, my dear, is your pussy. And you can't tap dance around that piece. It's just a fact. And it's beautiful. It's incredible. There's so much power inside of us as women. And we, through not just this life, but really lifetimes of fearing that, or being burnt or buried or drowned for that, or whatever, vilified some way for our power. And this is why we come together as sisters, in order to encourage each other back into our power that is additional to this wonderful head knowledge and wonderful action know-how and wonderful strategic brains that we all have. It's an additional piece. As I always say, I'm not now going to cut off that strong masculine arm in order to build the feminine. That's just stupid. What we want to do is build a spectrum, a broader spectrum of experience, right? So that you have more to experience, more to see, more to feel, an enrichment of your life experience of you inside of yourself. As we always say here in She TV, feminine is about it comes from the inside out, okay? We're here to build ourselves, our power from the inside out. And then fine, there's a million other awesome YouTube channels about how to adorn that, how to dress, how to do makeup and hair. And that's just the fun adornment piece of the feminine. But without it, without the inner piece, it's just not sustainable. It's not even very real. And it's a bit like you can scratch the surface of someone, a woman, who isn't in her power, and it's just makeup and hair, right? Okay. Where are we? Wonderful. Beach Girl, Megan, Alicia, fantastic. She says, I love this new way of thinking. So, beautiful, Rochelle. I'm excited to get this part of the course. Yes, Rochelle, you have enrolled, which is super exciting. So I'm really happy that you're going to get to that. Wonderful. Pussy Power, Beach Girl. Wonderful. Now, do you have any questions? Whilst I've got you here, I'm here to answer your questions today. So we can let this go a little bit longer whilst I've got you live. Xavier, I can give you the website, okay? So go to powerfullyfem.com, okay? I've just put that in the stream. And yeah, well, that you can sign up for the newsletter there, and then you'll get notified of when things are happening. So what questions do you have? What questions do you have at this stage? And I'm sorry that the stream is all over the place right now. I have no idea why. That's such a joy about doing these things. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work so well, and I don't know why. We've been having a bit of trouble streaming lately. Okay, do you have any questions on the topic of pleasure? Whilst I grab a tea break. And by the way, I found myself going, why am I wanting to do this live stream in my bedroom today? What is that? And I thought, oh, well, don't be silly. It's because you're talking about pleasure. And you know, when we're talking about pleasure, there's no way you can talk about pleasure and not be talking about sexuality. And unfortunately, I notice it's often omitted from people talking about feminine energy and power. And it bothers me because without it, you are not going to experience the real depths of your power as a woman. Sex, believe it or not, is the domain of the feminine. It is not the domain of the masculine at all. They say in the long story, I won't tell you now, I talk about it in many other times in many other ways, but if sexuality were made out of 10 parts, 9 of them are for the woman and 1 for the masculine, for the men. What is that telling us? That's telling us that there is so much discovery about feminine power and energy through our sexuality and through our ability to have pleasure there. Lulu says she's doing the cream rising in the morning. Pussy power practices. Good question, Lulu. So pussy power practices you can do any time of day, okay? Great question. And it is a really good way to open up your energy, open up not just your physical hips and all those tight areas, but it starts to get the juices flowing in this whole region. Awesome question. How do we know when we've reached a real desire? I feel like my energy switches as soon as I get something I want or do something. I'm not sure. You'll know. Okay, so Megan, we do this there's 3 whole things I teach about desire in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive. And when you get to desire diving, as in going into deep desires, you've got to keep going and you've got to get underneath the conditional desires, okay? It's not something I can tell you in a sentence, I'm sorry. That's just, feminine power is not something about tips and tricks. I'm sure you relate to that. Rochelle, I meditate every day. I've meditated every day for almost 25 years. It is something about power, but it's broader than that. Sometimes it's more on the line of things awaken up on the feminine side, but sometimes it's more about the very, high priest level of the masculine, okay? So meditation is about, it does show you how to go inside yourself. So I absolutely do recommend that too. Well, Fazila, what pleasure can a woman have if they don't have a partner? Well, this is about you loving your own body, right? This is about you being in a positive relationship to yourself. You can touch yourself. You can feel pleasure. That could be masturbation, but it could just be sensual touch and getting into a relationship to your body that's preparing you for a partner, where you know what you love sexually. Putting all of that on a partner without you having a relationship to it first is not very realistic. So that would be an answer to that. Great questions in the line of pleasure. Lulu says she loves the pussy power practices. I do the pussy power practices daily. They've made me feel sexy and so good. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That really delights me. I'm really happy to hear that. That's just such a... Yeah, I really developed them for all women. They're so universal, the pussy power practices. Venus Beauty Treadwell, when I got into my feminine, I got a husband. I just got married and been doing feminine practices for 3 years. Beautiful, Venus. Absolutely. So whether it's a husband or a lifetime partner, I know Americans are very big on getting married and getting husbands here. But it's about, the thing is, when you end up in the polarity, remember the second module, polarity, when you get into the feminine polarity, what happens? You end up standing in your true feminine, and then what happens? You attract the true masculine. So that's what Venus is sharing there. Beautiful. More questions. Loving the questions, loving the questions. If I can get these streams working better, I'll do more of these, loves. I just have had some issues with streaming lately. Love doing it live. Really, really one of the things I love doing most of all is answering your questions. Questions on pleasure. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Surprised nobody asking me about pussy brain. You should be. Is anyone here? Michelle, I know she's in my training. She knows about pussy brain. It's literally the very last thing I teach is pussy brain. But pleasure. We're talking about pleasure. Yes, thank you, says Venus. Fantastic. Okay, well, the thing is, we can finish up here if there's no more questions. The thing is, of course, you can go back onto this video because it becomes a video after we've done the live stream, okay? And you can put your questions in the comments box below. In the description box at the moment, we have access to the training that I was talking about. I really want you to get enrolled. There's a whole week of additional information that's going to get sent out to you. And the masterclass is next Monday. I'm running it again. I'm putting it here, okay? And by the way, Xavier, if you sign up for the training, you're going to end up on my list, okay? So it's going to give you, so if you click there, you get yourself enrolled in the masterclass. You get a bunch of extra little 2 or 3 4-minute emails, videos sent to you in email to give you more reflection on what's happening with your feminine power and energy, okay? Well, Fazila, that's great. You're asking a question about power, which is using the jade egg practices, okay? So, Fazila, being one of the Powerfully Feminine Sisterhood members, all of that things that you're asking me right now are in the training under the art of power, okay? So you can do jade egg work as much as you like, okay? The reason for jade egg work, which if anybody's new to that here, it's a little jade egg about this size, very small, that we thread floss or something into, so that we insert into the vagina, and we do practices to strengthen all the way up the length of the vulva. So we strengthen physically, but more importantly, we strengthen energetically, and it starts to bring your juiciness back. It starts to help you to embody on this obviously very deep internal level, right? You get into this deep internal relationship to your sexuality, your own vagina, and subsequently things start to wake up that you don't even know are asleep, okay? Super question, Fazila, thank you. Alicia, can there be blocks to finding pleasure? Absolutely, yeah. As I'm saying, we spoke about Kundalini, the coiled snake. When there's things that are asleep inside of you, then they can either be in the way of what's beneath them, or the way we could view that is that you need to turn toward these things that are unconscious, that are hidden, that are asleep inside you, and wake them up. And that's a bit of a journey. It's a pathway there, where rather than seeing things as a block, we can just say, well, that's a bit hidden. And so my training, and look, the reason why I keep repeating that, I had someone criticize me about that the other day, is it's like, look, we've been 20, 30, 40, some of us 50 plus years operating from the masculine. Do you think that me giving you a 2-sentence tip is going to suddenly ignite your feminine power? No, it's not. I'm sorry, I do my best here to pass as much as I can within the context of a 15-minute video most of the time. This is longer today because I'm answering questions. But you see what I mean? And it would betray you to say, oh yeah, feminine is just something you just add another piece of intellectual knowledge to you about. That doesn't do anything for you. You need a training, a systematic training, your hand being held, baby steps, a sisterhood, where you start to go through this process of discovering those hidden things. And by the way, they're not just hidden anything, they're hidden gems. I mean, this is your feminine power we're talking about. And it's a real thing. It's a force inside you, and it's something that will wake you up. It'll make everything look clearer and more brilliant and vital. It's worth waking up inside you. Beautiful. I'm seeing if there's any other questions here. Fantastic. Oh, I just saw a question for Paulina. How do we engage pleasure if we've been through sexual trauma in the past? That's a really, really good question, because there's so many different ways women have had sexual trauma. They have direct memory of sexual trauma or attack or rape or something like that in this life. And then there's also this aspect of, we have this generational thing inside of us as women where we have centuries of trauma, much of which is sexual. And if you've had sexual trauma, I do find that for some women with sexual trauma, when they start to do the jade egg work, for example, that if you do it really gently and you let the emotions move, it can really just allow that trauma to come out of you. If it's very severe, then I suggest that you reach out to somebody that has expertise as a coach or mentor or a therapist to coach you through that. I do a lot of sexual trauma work with my private clients, so by all means find a way to reach out to me, support@powerfullyfem.com, if you want to have a conversation about that. So it depends on the extent of it, so I don't know the extent of it. I need to have a conversation with you about that. All right, dear. Beach Girl goes, well, what is pussy brain? Well, that's a really good question. So I came up with the term pussy brain, Beach Girl, because, head brain. Hear up, okay? Head brain. We have been taught to operate from head brain as if it's the only thing that has any decision-making ability, any way to proceed with things or navigate, the only way to think or perceive how to take a course of action. And then the thing is, when you start to awaken your feminine energy and power, and you start to really sink down, dive down, and be in your power source, your throne, as I said before, your pussy, right? Then what you start to realize is there's a brain. She has a brain. She thinks, okay? She has a whole way of operating that is a different type of thinking, a different type of being, a different type of responding to things and navigating your life. It's a real thing. It's not just a joke term. And it is the result of a training in feminine power and energy. The very training that, this masterclass is going to onboard you into. So in the masterclass, you're going to learn more about that. And then, of course, in my group, International Sisterhood, that's obviously where we go very deep together in terms of waking up our pussy brain. I hope that explains it a little bit. Rebecca B is back. Hello. Okay. I love the engagement. Any more questions on pleasure before we finish up here today? Okay. All right, so why don't we finish up here today? You've been so wonderful, so beautiful to engage you today. Remember, for the next 3 days, we are going live, okay? I'm going to be feeding you some information, a topic, and then being here for you in terms of answering questions on the topic. So I'm popping in there the link for the free masterclass. It's totally free. It's like an hour, 20 minutes long, okay, where we go into more detail about the modules, or the 5 core feminine arts essentially, okay, but we talk about the things that are exhausting you, overwhelming you as a woman, because those are symptoms, as per losing your libido. For me, when I see a woman like that, it's because she's out of touch with her feminine power. She's operating in the false feminine, or has a really strong masculine, okay? So there's two slightly different angles there. And I have over 180 videos here on YouTube. Please binge watch them to your heart's content. I literally answer every single question that I get in the comments section. So if you have questions, please put them there. And today also in the comments section here, if you're listening to this on a recording, please ask me a question, give me an aha, an epiphany. I also love getting thumbs up, or thumbs down, whatever. Just respond. I'm here for you. I'm here for you to respond. I'm here for you in general. So let's remember that we're here to be together in sisterhood. And when you have the courage to go out there and shine, you give others permission to do the same. And that's what you're learning how to do here on She TV. So much, much love from my heart to yours. It's been a delight to be here with you today. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Much, much love. Bye-bye for now.